Collins and Byron D. Amos. Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda? Moved by the Honorable Antonio Lewis, seconded by the Honorable Byron Amos. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda is adopted.
Can we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Moved by the Honorable Ishe Collins, seconded by the Honorable Antonio Lewis. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes are adopted.
The 2025 draft goals and objectives have been distributed to all members for your review. Please send any recommendations for 2025 goals and objectives to myself and Mark Overton by Friday, January 31st. We should be prepared to review and adopt them on Monday, February 10th. At this time, we will have public comment. Our first speaker is Mr. Erling Laberg. Please come forward at this time.
In here, councillors. My name is Erling Laberg. I'm an art restorer from Norway. And I'm here because of the Atlanta Public Library. It was torn down, built in 1900 and torn down in 1977. Well, it wasn't torn down, it was carefully dismantled, and the material was stored at the prison farm, which is now the Atlantic Training Center. For the Olympics in 1995, I built the Carnegie Pavilion, which is now in Hardy Ivy Park on Peachtree Street, a landmark. I've come back to Atlanta approximately a year and a half ago to find out what happened to the rest of the material. We only used part of the building, maybe a third of it, and these are massive neoclassical building with capitals and columns in Georgia marble. It was well to preserve it at the time, and it still should be. When I came back here a year and a half ago, I tried to get access to the site, and I've been back many times since then, but obviously there was no access to the under the building of the training center. My question, is the city aware that this material is stored there? And what happened to it? I did a complete inventory of the materials in 1995, and I still have all that material. And what I'm asking is there a way to get access to the site to see if this material is still there? And okay, I'm visiting from Norway. I'm only here this week. If it's not happening now, I'm willing to come back. My mission is only to preserve and save this culturally important material. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We have been joined by the Honorable Mary Norwood. Next speaker, Mr. Eric Schulman. Eric Schulman.
Good afternoon, board. Happy Monday. Thank God it's not snowing. Like I said, my name is Eric Schulman. I've been doing business with the city of Atlanta, running a real estate investment company for the past 30 years. Just want to bring something to your attention. We bought a single family house in 2020 as COVID was raging, and we did minimal repairs trying to determine what we were going to do. But because, COVID was raging and interest rates rose, we let it sit. We did tend to it a little bit, but, it did sit. The real estate market slowed down. The investor said, just keep sitting for a minute. Well, of course, the code department got involved, and I was working with them. And I was here earlier this year, last year, and I was given 90 days to secure a permit. Well, we all know how efficient the permit department is in getting a permit in 90 days. So I contacted the code enforcement manager, Jocelyn Lyles. I wrote her an email. Within the process, I applied for a demo permit. I had architectural plans and a survey done as part of the process. Her comments were, all right, we will do a conditional placard release letter for you, but you need to follow these guidelines, which started following. The one thing she did not say was, you only have 30 days to do this. Well, after 30 days, now they're threatening to tear down the house, which is not the first time the city has gone in and torn down houses that I've been involved with. Are you guys aware that you guys tear down houses for people, that you just go in and tear it down without the people knowing about it? I'd like to get this resolved because I do not want this property torn down and a FIFA placed on it. Another property I was dealing with had a $53,000 FIFA placed on a house. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous that the city would place a $50,000 FIFA for a tear down house. So your input would be greatly appreciated.
The Honorable Antonio Lewis.
And can you explain more of the FIFA?
You mean on the FIFA in general? I mean, the one
Yes.
I'm discussing?
Yes.
That is a house that we went, I mean, which,
Or just a lien or a FIFA?
FIFA.
Okay, can you explain it more?
So we went to go buy this house, and the house was going through a lis pendens at the time, and we bought it, and, you know, unbeknownst to us, the attorney sold it to us with that on it. So I'm not accusing the city here, but they did go through and tear down a house while I was in process of buying it, and I got no notice of this. So in looking it up, we saw on the deed that there's a $53,000 FIFA on it. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here for another one that you guys are threatening to tear down as well.
No, I thank you. I just wanted to talk more about that. I've gotten some calls from people, from folks who families have owned homes in our community, and they've been torn down. And me, myself, I was actually a part of that as well. And so just to hear more about it and to see more people coming, I know this is a stress on families afterwards that are trying to get their stuff into accordance, and owners who are trying to get their stuff into accordance, only to find out they have a FIFA of 53. How much is the other one? 50. They haven't torn this one down yet, so you don't even have a...
No, but I don't want it torn down. But I mean, I've submitted stuff, but she told me after the fact, she says, oh, you only had 30 days to have the placard removed. And that was at the end of October. So, you know, here we are almost at the end of January. And my concern is that, you know, you guys are going to put a FIFA on it.
I wonder, Councilmember, I wonder if we can, Chair, I wonder if we can work with code enforcement to see if we can come up with a way to help not only this gentleman, but more folks in situations like this.
Our director, Lyles, is here, and I would like to give you my information and information of my colleagues. If you would see Ms. Lyles, Ms. Daphne Talley, our director, is here.
Okay.
Ms. Director Talley, would you speak with the gentleman outside to see if we can rectify this issue? This is an issue that we dealt with a couple of years ago, and we would like to see how we can come up with some type of legislation to help folks in this situation. He does not wish to have the home torn down. I don't know what it looks like, what the condition is like. Have you gotten it repaired over the past 30 days? Tell me more about that.
So I went out with my team, and I did email Officer Lyles that I do agree with the city. Let's tear it down. But so I am, you know, we were ready to tear it down. So that's why I applied for a demo permit. So, but then I was told I ran out of time to get the lis pendens removed. I mean, I'm the placard removed. So I agree with the city. Let's tear it down, but I'll do it underneath my permit. So. And I don't want you guys doing it, and I don't want you placing a lien on the property. So I'm all for tearing it down, but you know, you need more time to get permits.
So let's see if you can come up with something with our director. I'm sure she will be able to help you. Will you get his information, and let's try to work with him? And Sir, we are here we're here every other Monday.
Okay.
And I will, again, give you my information
Okay.
to see if we can assist in this matter.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, Ms. Val Anderson.
Good afternoon. Not, my voice is not as great as it would be. I'm a little under the weather. But yes, I am here about my son, Devon Anderson Jr., which you all is aware of. And Ms. Boone, I would like to thank you especially for the help you've been trying to get as far as helping me or get information as how to get a warrant on Melvin Potter. And I wanted to also find out the officer, Lakeisha Riley, that the one that invited my son to the party, why have I heard anything about her? Because she's the officer, Lakeisha Riley, that invited my son to the party. And since my son was murdered by Melvin Potter, has gone dark as far as closing it, all her Instagram, everything about her social media. So I haven't heard anything as to why she's not being mentioned in anything, being that she was a witness and is a witness to what happened to my son on August 5th. So I would like if somebody could help me get some information as far as why she is not, where is she? Why is she not being named in anything? Because if she was there the night of, and she was the one that invited him to the party, she should be there to say something about what happened to my son. Because next month, February 5th, is going to make 5 months, 6 months, my son was murdered by Melvin Potter. 6 months. And there's really no information as to, up to this day, what happened to my son. I need to know what happened to my son. And as I always state, which I'm sorry if you are tired of hearing it, but that's not my concern, I am going to get justice for my son. I'm going to get justice for my son if it's the last breath that I have in my body. If I have to crawl in here, crawl on my knees, my toes, my fingers, whatever I have to do, sick, whatever I have to do, I'm going to be here because I said I'm going to show up and be present for my son. Melvin Potter murdered my son, and he's not going to get away with it. He's going to be held accountable for murdering my son at any cost. So if you all found out anything new that I need to know about, I wish you all would share it with me because I'm not going anywhere. And again, Ms. Boone, I am very appreciative of your help in this situation. And Mr. Lewis also, because I can't forget you, Mr. Lewis. You've been with me from day one, and I so appreciate it. But again, I need for me to go on living. I need to get justice for my son. It's hard. And I don't have to tell you all how hard it is for me. Coming down here to say how I feel sometimes and trying to get justice for my son is hard. My heart is broken. My heart will forever be broken. Because it's not a nice feeling waking up every day with a broken heart over the loss of your child. So if you all have anything new that you all found out about my son's situation, I would appreciate it if you all share it with me. And I know I went over Ms. Boone, but thank you anyway. All right.
Our next speaker is Chastity Ivory.
Well, I'm actually just here to basically piggyback on Ms. Anderson.
Speak in the mic. Speak directly in the mic.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's good?
Yes, good.
Yep, so I'm just really just here piggybacking on Miss Anderson. Devon Anderson was literally my best friend. Even closer to that, he was a brother to me. He was a kind soul. He was generous. He was remarkable. He still had so much life left in him to live. He wanted to do so many things. So my ask here is simply a call to action, by the South Fulton Police Department, who was there on the scene afterwards, after all this happened, and yet still have no answers. They have no answers from one of their own who murdered my friend, who murdered her son. They still have no answers. They have no one that they say would come forward. And the one that was actually there when it happened, Miss Lakeisha Riley, she was there when it happened, and she's not even mentioned anywhere in the police report. I can't understand that for the life of me. And now this person is ghost, nowhere to be found, nowhere to be seen. So my call to action is just some actionable responses by the police department, by anybody here who can give an actionable response. We appreciate the condolences and we appreciate the I'm sorries, but it's not fixing anything. It's not doing anything. It's not giving us no answers. It's not telling us what happened. So I'm just here for a call to action. I'm here for someone to do due diligence, the police department to just do due diligence and do their job and find these people that are also their own people and have statements. Why aren't these people giving statements as to what happened? I can't understand it. I cannot understand it. So I'm just asking for a call to justice. Thank you.
Next speaker, Mr. Devin Franklin.
Good afternoon, council persons. Good afternoon to the public as well. My name is Devin Franklin. I am Senior Movement Policy Counsel for the Southern Center for Human Rights. Today, I am here to speak as to an update regarding the 2022 lease of the Atlanta City Detention Center to Fulton County Jail. As you all are aware, in 2022, an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Atlanta and Fulton County was entered, authorizing the leasing of 700 beds in ACDC to Fulton Jail as a response to what was described as a humanitarian crisis at that facility. My colleagues and I warned the City Council in its entirety, as well as the prior constitution of this particular committee, that such an approach was unresponsive to the actual harms that were existing in the Fulton County Jail at that point in time, and that had put Fulton in headlines. We warned that Fulton did not have the staffing to maximize the lease that the City of Atlanta was giving it, and that there were also cultural and systemic issues within the operations of the Fulton County Sheriff's Department that did not allow, or that were not contemplated rather by this body in terms of what would keep incarcerated people safe. In 2023, I regularly reported to this body the impact of that lease. I was here nearly every time there was a death at the jail. I was here to report on how many people had been transferred to the facility. And in that way, I spoke to the effectiveness of that. To this day, that lease has not yet been maximized. As we stand here today, of those 700 beds, only 329 are currently being occupied. There is only an operational capacity of 500 people due to the staffing issues that we had previously warned you all of. And since that point in time, the federal government, the Department of Justice, has conducted an investigation into the facility, and since that point in time, issued a findings report in November of last year, and subsequently into a consent decree with Fulton County as of early January of this year. The Department of Justice found widespread human rights violations at the Fulton County Jail, some of which have actually spread to the City of Atlanta Detention Center. And that includes the death of 2 individuals at that facility on the hands of Fulton County. There are processes in place to respond to the wrongs that have gone on in Fulton County, but the county has not yet invited the public to weigh in on next steps. So I would also like to announce to you all and to invite you all to a series of assemblies, particularly a public reporting that we are issuing on February 18th, that we are entitling the People's Process. This is a listening session that allows directly impacted persons and indirectly impacted persons to have a say in the next steps of the what's going to happen in Fulton County Jail. I've emailed you all a letter, but I'm also providing physical copies for those of you all who are here, detailing that process. I'm a bit over time. I asked for about 30 more seconds to make one more point, if possible. I also want to make you all aware, and thank you, Chairwoman Bone. Would like to make you all aware, if you are not already, of SB 7, which was introduced in this legislative session, which is essentially a bill that seeks to allow the Fulton County Sheriff to simply request the usage of the Atlanta City Detention Facility at his whim. The language of that particular piece of legislation would actually invalidate and make the lease agreement that exists now illegal, due in large part to the construction of fees that currently exist. So that's my statement, and I see Councilman Lewis has some. But
Any questions from my colleagues? The Honorable Antonio Lewis.
And I know I was against the leasing of the jail to Fulton County. I know I knew that what year would be, I knew what time it would be when it was time to actually get it back. And to see them try to come up with this new legislation that I need to look at is not overwhelming, but not surprising either. And so I will be working on legislation. I'll be working with you. I'll be reaching out to y'all to see how we can come up with some of the best legislation to make sure we continue to be separate entities and continue to try to work forward with good faith. So thank you for bringing this to us. And I know I've been watching it, and you've been hearing me telling you how I've been watching it since we did it. So thank you again.
thank you, Councilman Lewis, and thank you to everyone else.
The Honorable Isha Collins.
So quick question, who introduced Senate Bill 7?
If I'm correct, it was Senator Randy Robertson and Senator Albers, if I'm correct.
Oh, so not part of the Atlanta delegation?
No, it was
Okay.
not.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes,
so,
Senator Albers of the 56th and Senator Robertson of the 29th.
okay. I mean, it,
Yeah.
it'd be good. I mean, it'd be good for us to, I think it'd be good for us to definitely have the legislation, but I also think it's important. I think it was a letter that you're circling around as well. I think it's also important for us and also the public to understand the civil rights issues in terms of what DOJ has specifically identified with Fulton County Jail and how that does in fact separates the Atlanta Detention Center from, in terms of those spaces. So I'm interested also to see that report and those points as well. And just thinking, as we continue this conversation and dialogue, seeing what that goes. But thank you so much for this information. I think for the public to also know when the Senate bill, even though it has been dropped, you do have crossover that it does also have to come to a house, through House. There's a 40 days. So I think it's also important to educate everyone on the process as well so we can really understand the path of advocacy that we want to move with this, but it'd be great to see it.
Absolutely. In any way that my colleagues and I can be of assistance to you all, we certainly offer ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we would like to deal with one appointment, very critical appointment. We would like to ask Mr. Christopher Brown to come forward regarding the Atlanta Citizens Review Board. Mr. Overton.
This is item number 7, 25R3089, a resolution by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone appointing Mr. Christopher Brown to the Atlanta Citizens Review Board for a term of 3 years, said term to begin upon approval of this resolution and for other purposes.
Mr. Brown, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you would like to serve on this very important board?
Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Brown. I've been involved in the city of Atlanta government and the public square for the last 20 years. And as a former city employee and advocate in the community, I've partnered with ACRB on multiple occasions, being able to educate community leaders and the public about processes and procedures in the community. I think that the work that I've done within the civil service and being able to take what I've done to help restore public trust would be a great addition to the board, and anything else that I could do to help serve and bring value to that board.
Mr. Brown, are you aware of the challenges facing the Atlanta Citizens Review Board at this time?
I just recently read about that, yes.
You did. Okay, any questions or concerns from the body? The Honorable Antonio Lewis.
I would just like to say I've had the pleasure of working with Mr. Brown both while I've been on council and before I was on council, and he's active citywide. I know he's been a active voice when it comes to not only police reform, but making sure that we have good public safety in the city of Atlanta, progressive public safety in the city of Atlanta. And so I think that he'd be a loud voice, the right type of voice to include into this. So I move. I know this is your person, so I want to second it.
Move approval.
Second.
Seconded by the Honorable Antonio Lewis. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The item passes.
Mr. Brown, we are very anxious for you to start serving on this very important board to the citizens of Atlanta, and encourage you to research before your very first meeting. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We have one presentation for today's meeting. We will start with a brief presentation from the Atlanta Police Department, crime statistics, followed by code enforcement.
Good afternoon, everybody. Happy to be here. Want to start with thanking the Atlanta Police Department as a whole, and especially Deputy Chief Hampton and Major Schiffbauer. They were the point people on the planning for the College Football National Championship weekend, which was used pretty much every resource that APD has available. We were all on 12-hour shifts. It was a long 4 days, but we went through. It was cold, but everybody was taken care of, and it was just kudos to them, and all around it was. We were very happy with the turnout that weekend and the results of it. So as we get into some crime stats, we're week 4 just ended on the 25th. As you can see, the numbers are fairly depressed, which is good. We like it. However, I don't want to get to a false sense of security. This has been very cold. We went from college football, we went right into our second winter event of the season so far, with the ice and snow and the freezing temperatures. So a lot of that has kept people inside. So as a result, we are seeing a dip in our numbers, which of course we won't complain about. I just don't want to get quite used to it. Should be back up in the next few weeks, I would imagine. There is one number, which is the aggravated assaults, which we've talked about before, and I just want to say, so a little bit with NIBR's crime and how it's reported. The Department of Justice they're the ones who do the standard for our crime reports, and so when you see that number of 153, that's 153 victims. That doesn't mean incidents, right? There could be. We had one incident where there was 12 people that were a victim. So that number 12 is the number of aggravated assaults. So while the number seems higher, it is a victim count, mind you, because that's how it's reported to the feds. If you go by incidents, in 2024, there was 109 incidents through this date, and in 2025, there was 97 incidents. So that's actually an 11% drop in incidents, but we've had a 23% uptick in the number of victims associated with those crimes. If that, just to kind of give you a little bit insight into how the numbers work for aggravated assaults. So, but we are in our spaces, our gas stations, our apartment complexes, some of the problem areas with a high probability for violence. We do make a focus on that. We still have our Apex unit in those hotspot areas that we decide weekly. A couple of highlights I want to throw at you. We had on the highway, this was on the 20th of January. This was about, looks like it was about midnight or so. We had, or actually, I'm sorry, about 8 p.m. or so. My fault, my glasses are not here. We had 2 cars racing on the highway at I-20 and MLK, caused a 4-car accident. Those two drivers of the Chargers that were racing each other, this was not an organized event. This was just 2 people that were street racing, happened to cause a 4-car pileup. but we apprehended both of them. They're both charged with a multitude of charges, including the racing, which is continuing that we are enforcing that every time we see it, every time we get a 911 call on it. Another incident I just want to point to, which was fantastic work on all ends. We had a group of people that were here at an Airbnb on Cheshire Bridge Road. There were groups of friends that came together, and one got mad at the other one, shot and killed his friend. And the BOLO went out to the Zone 2 units, and the Zone 2 unit, a couple of hours later, recognizing the suspect from the BOLO, was able to detain the murder suspect and recover the weapon. So it was a great job by our FOD, by our communication from homicide to the zone, and then through the detention and arrest. So they're very happy. That was homicide number 8. That was on Cheshire Bridge Road. The last one I want to point your attention to is we had an incident that started at 3085 Piedmont Road. This is where a gentleman was in a parking lot, and he actually picked up a woman and moved her across the parking lot in an attempt to seemingly kidnap her. A couple of hours later, there was a car stolen at the BP station at 3639 Peachtree Road, which is around the corner from the first incident. Officers noticed on the video from the gas station that it was similar to the video from the attempted kidnapping. They started putting things together, and we notified our ACE unit, our All Crimes Enforcement Unit, because the person got into a Honda Pilot, fled the scene. Our ACE unit starts working the case through our flock system, through the LPRs, starts tracking the vehicle, and sent out the BOLOs. We're going out every 30 minutes to Brookhaven, to Sandy Springs, and across all the zones. Sandy Springs ended up coming across the gentleman and was able to detain him while he was staying at a hotel. He had committed multiple financial card thefts in Sandy Springs. So he was brought back to Atlanta. He was interviewed. He was clearly having mental issues. He said the Russians were communicating with him. They were telling him if he didn't commit these crimes, he was going to be killed. He had looks like it was early onset schizophrenia possibly, but again, with the work and coordination from the field level officers to the investigators to our surrounding partner in our jurisdictions, we're able to get a very dangerous person off the street who is clearly having some mental issues. We did get him some help at Grady. He is facing multiple felony charges, but hopefully be back on his medication, that kind of stuff. But it just goes to show we never know what's going on with some of these people. And again, the officers putting things together in that very beginning with video and communication really paid off in the end. So it was a great job by everybody involved in that case. I thought that was worth highlighting for everybody. I'm open for any questions that we have today.
Any questions for my colleagues? On last week, Mr. Witherspoon was tragically killed at the McDonald's in the Adamsville community, and many members of that community would like to know, if you do not have any information as of today, that is Zone 4. Mr. Witherspoon grew up in that community, attended Harper High School, and was doing some mechanic work and car washing, and was tragically killed right off of M.L. King Jr. Drive. If you would be so kind as to give us any information on that upon research.
I will. I know exactly the case you're talking about. It's very tragic. I'm not familiar with where the investigation stands, but I can get that for you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, ma'am.
The Honorable Antonio Lewis.
And similar to that, if you can get any information you can on Sakaya Smith, young lady from Carver High School who was murdered on Christmas Eve, any information you can. I know that the community, they've gotten a lot of information, and
I know there were warrants outstanding on that case. I do not know if the arrest has been made, but there has been warrants taken out on that case.
so if you can, just making sure, thank you for that, and any other information you can share with me so that I can actually reach out to the school. This Friday is their senior night, and we'll be honoring Sakaya. And so I'd like to be able to, because they want to feel justice and they want to see justice served.
I'm with you. I don't know where, as I know, there was a warrant taken, but I don't know the overall status of the case, so I'm reluctant to comment too much because I don't know where it is. But I will find out for you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns from my colleagues? The Honorable Ishe Collins.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, Councilman Lewis. I mean, also following up with the, following up directly with the school, because I mean, a lot of that information, because it was, well, the investigation revealed some things about the warrant, the individuals whose warrants were taken out, which is extremely concerning with gun violence in our youth in this city, period. So I would suggest also, as APD give you the update, also getting information from Atlanta Public Schools, Public Safety Department as well, in terms of being able to communicate that to the community at large, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Next, code enforcement. Director Talley.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and other members of the committee, and a special welcome to Councilmember Collins. We look forward to working with you in the future. Before I get started, I wanted to announce that Ms. Jocelyn Lyles retired on December 31st of last year. So any compliance resolution or administrative in-rem questions, please forward them to me. I will be Ms. Lyles until we replace.
Well, we want to
her.
congratulate Ms. Lyles on 30 years of dedicated service.
Not quite, but almost.
To the city of Atlanta, and just thank her for everything she has done in our communities. Who will be her replacement?
For now, just me.
That's a lot
We're
of
working
work.
on that. We're working
Okay.
on that.
All
You know,
right.
that was my old job before my promotion, but yeah, it'll be
Okay,
me.
please proceed.
Okay, thank you. So today's presentation will actually include code enforcement activity for 2024. We will update the committee on our accomplishments, our staffing levels, primarily as it relates to our code enforcement officers, inspection activity, compliance resolution activity, which is the administrative in-rem proceedings, and then later, project manager Tion English will come up and give you guys an update on our safe and secure housing initiative, as well as our 2025 priorities. So some of our accomplishments that I'd like to highlight today is that we did increase our staff by 19. I wanted to focus on the code enforcement officers because that is the position or the team that we had all of the vacancies from 2021 to 2023. If you guys recall, we started 2023 with 9 officers in the field, so we now have 25. We also increased vehicles for hire staff with the enforcement of the taxi cab companies as well as the horse carriages. We will be starting the enforcement of that activity in the downtown area, so we increased that particular team staff. We also promoted 7 of our code enforcement officer to senior positions in 2024 through the assistance of our cross-training program. We increased our inspections because we had the officers in the field by 40%. Also, we received 14 new vehicles in 2024. That was 12 new Mavericks, as well as 2 Durangos. And also, the other piece that I wanted to highlight is the demolition of 900 Newtown Circle. Staffing levels, as I stated, I wanted to focus on the code enforcement officers because that is the bulk of our activity. So we started 2024 off with 25 officers. Had a little decrease, again, because we did promote 7 code enforcement officers and we had a couple of resignations, but we ended the year back at 25 officers. Currently, we have 9 vacant positions. We do have some candidates that are pending background review, so the goal is to hire for those 9 positions in 2025. So, of course, with additional boots on the ground or field officers, we were able to increase our inspections activity by over 17,000 inspections. Now, the inspections include initial inspections. That is the first time that a code enforcement officer is out on the property. Re-inspections, which is every subsequent visit between the initial inspection and before the court re-inspection. And then also the inspections include our court re-inspections, which is done primarily 48 hours prior to a court appearance to inform the court of the conditions of the property. So again, we wanted to show that with all of the inspections that we are conducting, we're also issuing citations. So actually, it does say citation issued, but that number, over 1,800 cases, include our criminal citations as well as our civil charges that we bring to municipal court. We're also closing out as many cases that were filed or nearly as many cases that was filed in 2024. So we've been able to resolve over 7,600 cases in 2024. Something that we had not done in a while, the mini details. And I'm calling them mini details because we did those details just within APD code enforcement. We did not collaborate with any other departments like we used to in the past, but we were able to conduct 6 mini details in 2024 in various areas around the city of Atlanta, resulting in 27 court cases, 27 cases that are currently pending. We were also able to resolve 19 cases upon re-inspections, and we have several cases that are pending court appearance throughout these details. Compliance resolution activity. In 2024, we received 111 demolition orders from our administrative interim hearings and 41 clean and close orders. We were able to demolish or execute 49 demolitions, including 7 multifamily dwellings and 3 commercial properties. We also cleaned and closed 20 properties and cleaned and cut 58. We have an additional 70 that have been awarded to city contractors and are pending some type of abatement. This slide is just to show the committee of our effort to attempt to make an impact on one block. These 2 properties were located on Cairo Street. We had a complaint for one. The officer went out and saw the property to the left. I think it was a few doors down from that property. The particular complaint was, we had a complaint for the location, but it was stagnant. It had not moved in a while, so we were able to bring both of these cases before our administrative interim review board at the same time and also complete the demolitions at the same time. So that made a big impact to that particular community. Next up, I would like to bring up Project Manager English to give us an update on our Safe and Secure Housing Initiative, as well as our top priorities for 2025. Thank you.
I am Tyon English. I am the project manager for code enforcement. I manage the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative under the code enforcement section with the police department. In 2024, we completed a total of 24 apartment details. Those are collaborative details where we collaborate with other departments in the city. We go out to the apartment complex, generally where we have issues, a lot of code complaints, and we pretty much do a forensic inspection of the property, and we document all the code violations, the exterior buildings, the premises, the interior and the exterior of the premises. So we document everything, and we move forward with holding the responsible party accountable. During those 24 collaborative details, we found a total of 1,000, we conducted a total of 1,410 total inspections. 681 of those inspections were the initial proactive inspection. Total number of inspections conducted was 1,400. That includes the re-inspection, the follow-up, and the court re-inspection. Throughout those details and those inspections, we found a total of 2,406 code violations. Also, I wanted to add the wins for code enforcement and the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative. Of those details we conducted in 2024, the listed properties here are properties where we went out, we observed code violations, we notified the responsible party, and we were able to get 100% compliance from once we notified the apartment complex. I would also like to add that of 2 of those apartment complexes, 875 Hank Aaron Drive Southwest and 377 Westchester Boulevard Northwest, we were able to get 100% compliance from those apartment complexes without going through the court process. The remaining apartment complexes, we went through the court process, but we still were able to gain 100% compliance from when we initially did the proactive collaborative detail inspection at the location. I would like to finish with the 2025 top priorities for code enforcement. First, recruit and hire qualified candidates to fill vacant positions. Secondly, secure necessary fleet to ensure safety and productivity. Amend the Atlanta Housing and the Commercial Code and the Chapter 162, which is relevant to the Vehicles for Hire section. Increase the number of resolved complaints by 25%. Update the process for pursuing demolitions to make it faster, more efficient, and more impactful. Execute necessary formal contracts for services related to demolition and clean and close projects. And lastly, through the Safe and Secure Housing Initiative, continue to build relationships with stakeholders to collaborate on compliance efforts at priority multifamily properties. That includes the presentation, our quarterly presentation for the Code Enforcement section of the Atlanta Police Department. I welcome any questions and/or concerns.
Questions or concerns from my colleagues? The Honorable Antonio Lewis, followed by the Honorable Byron D. Amos, followed by the Honorable Ishe Collins.
Super easy for me today. 9 to 25 is amazing. Huge deal. I've been able to see some of your new folks around and to see the excitement from them for the job that they're about to do in the city shows the love and shows the intention for the work. The promotions from within show that a commitment and intention is going to make people want to stay in the department because they know they can grow. And the only thing that I want to add some more pie in the sky is Springside Apartments. As you know, I know there's not much we can do because it's co-owned, but add one more to it, Oxford Village. Oxford Village on Jonesboro Road. Oxford Village. If you can go look at Oxford Village on Jonesboro Road, the roads when you get into the apartments, there are holes, craters all throughout. But in the Springside Apartments, if anything you could do with that, please let me know. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
The Honorable Byron D. Amos.
Yes, I just want to help celebrate as well. I remember when we was down to about 2 or 3 inspectors. So it's good to have a solid force out there, and I know we can probably use about 5 or 6 more. Officer Lyles is gone. Wow. There's some pretty big shoes to fill. So, but I'm glad she's happy to be able to step away and just ride past that building without writing a placard for it. The mini inspections. If you could just send over to my office any other properties you have done in District 3. Every time we do a neighborhood blitz, your crew come out, walk with us, and we write as many citations as we can, along with the solicitor's office, fire, police. We invite all you guys out, and we go door to door in our business corridors, encouraging people to do better. So if you can get that information. You gave me, you mentioned an address on Westchester. What was that address?
377 Westchester Boulevard, Northwest. It's the Making Away apartment complex. It's right across from actually 2000 Chicago Avenue that we got complied back in 2023.
Okay. I was going to ask you about Chicago property, but you're well aware of it.
Yeah, and we've been following up with that apartment complex as well to make
and
sure
then have our, let's say, relationship gotten better with the judicial side? I know we can do everything we can to get them into court, but our judges was not seeing the same thing that our community was seeing. So.
Yes, that relationship has improved and has continued to improve. We have dedicated solicitors for the SASHI initiative now. So that is all they are focusing on at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You.
The Honorable Ishe Collins.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. No, thank you so much for this presentation. This is immensely helpful, and congratulations on the success that you all had last year and what you're looking for this year. 2 questions. One, I think for me, just the informative piece of all of the, I guess the properties that you're inspecting. What percentage would you say are actually, apartment complexes or multifamily units or properties?
Multifamily units that we're inspecting, I would probably say maybe 15 to 20%.
Okay.
Would be the large scale apartment complexes, yeah.
And even like the small, even that's including
Well,
small
yeah,
scale?
that includes even anything that is 4 units and more, yes.
Thank you. And then how does this initiative and this enforcement aligns with the new blight tax that is taken into effect?
So our process has not changed. We are a part of the task force, but our process will remain the same. So any code violations that we see, we're going to issue those courtesy notices and subsequent citations or civil summons to get them into court. Any property, I guess, that the task force see that we need to bring attention to, we will forward that information over to that particular task force for review. So our process will remain the same. So code enforcement is not out searching or looking for those particular blight tax properties, yes.
Okay, all right, I probably have some more questions, but I can get, thank you.
Yes, and I will have Selena Beasley reach out to your office, because usually if a new council member comes to the committee, we like to sit down one-on-one and just talk about our process. Because as I tell everybody, there are several code enforcement agents within the departments. We just bear the name. So a lot of times people assume that we do everything. So we look forward to sitting down with you and discussing our process.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Teller. You all did a very good job in the Dollar Mill Road area. You were able to bring about 40 to 45 issues. We'd just like to get an update on that in the near future. Secondly, there's a property on Baker's Ferry Road. We've been talking about that for several years now. They have covered the cars up with blue tarps. Is that permissible?
No, that is not permissible. And I can't think of the address. I know Selena Beasley is watching. I believe they are in court again. You know, they were in court in 2023.
That's a priority for us. Baker's Ferry Road is a major corridor for the Adamsville community.
Yeah.
Secondly, my last question is, what date for demolition for the daycare across from 3131 Campbellton Road? It seems to be at least 30 to 45 days after the date that it was promised to be demolished. This is from the Honorable Marcy Collier Overstreet.
Right. So the date, so we don't generally provide a date of demolition until that contractor has a permit in hand and has given us the date. So where we are with that, it has been awarded to a city contractor, so it's probably going through the permitting process to get that demolition permit. So I do not have an exact date on when it's going to be demolished.
Will you follow up with her on that in writing, please? Again, thank you all so much. And if we could hear back on those properties, thank you very much. Any other questions or concerns?
Thank you.
Next item, thank you. We have lost a quorum. Give us a couple of minutes. I'm sure Councilmember Amos will be back. Thank you. We are ready now. We have been rejoined. We are ready. Mr. Overton,
Madam
please
Chair,
proceed.
that takes us to our consent agenda. We'll first take action on our favorable and unfavorable claims.
Can we have a motion to approve the favorable claims? Moved by the Honorable Ishay Collins, seconded by the Honorable Byron D. Amos. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The favorable items are approved. Next is the unfavorable claims.
You like a motion to approve all unfavorable claims. Please open the vote. Seconded by the
Adverse.
Honorable Ishe Collins.
Madam Chair, the motion is to adverse the unfavorable claim.
Adverse the unfavorable claims. Please open the vote. Seconded by the Honorable Ishe Collins.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 4 yeas, 0 nays. The unfavorable claims are adversed. That brings us to ordinances for first reading, starting with item number 1, 25-01046, an ordinance by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee to amend the 2025 intergovernmental grant fund budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations in the amount of $200,113.28 on behalf of the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department for the purpose of funding the car seat fitting station program developed by the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department and for other purposes. That brings us to our ordinances for second reading, starting with item number 2, 25-01027, an ordinance by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee amending the 2025 Intergovernmental Grant Fund budget, Department of Police, by adding to anticipations and appropriations in the amount of $562,879.00 for the 2024 Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Award from the United States Department of Justice and for other purposes.
Move approval.
Second.
Seconded by the Honorable Antonio Lewis. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. That is 5 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable. Madam Chair, for item number 3, we have a request to substitute this item at the behest of the Law Department. The substitute waives the procurement code to expand the scope and allow the retroactive start of the term of renewal for the contract, and does change the caption. So can we bring forth the substitute first?
Their motion to bring forth the substitute. Moved by the Honorable Byron D. Amos, seconded by the Honorable Ishe Collins. Please, can we hear from the fire department on this?
Good afternoon, Stephen Hill. I'm Deputy Chief of Support Services. This program, the Guardian, our team is using, we do backgrounds very similar to what PD does, and it's allowing us to be more efficient and effective with going through the background process and getting our hiring going to try to reduce our vacancies. And so this program has been helpful to us. We just need to be added to the contract so we can be a little more efficient with how we do our purchasing with it.
Moved by the Honorable Byron D. Amos, seconded by the Honorable Ishe Collins. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. The substituted item is before the committee. This is item number 3, 25-01044, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone as substituted by the Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee, an ordinance waiving Division 4 of Chapter 2, Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances to authorize the mayor or his designee on behalf of the Atlanta Police Department to execute a retroactive extension of the agreement SP-S-1220052, APD Background and Recruitment File Automation System, with Guardian Alliance Technologies Incorporated on behalf of the Atlanta Police Department for a term of 1 year, effective February 2nd, 2025 through February 1st, 2026, to authorize the mayor or his designee to enter into an amendment number 3 to add the Atlanta Fire and Rescue Department as authorized users, to list funding strings for the authorized users, and to add additional funding to the annual contract such that the contract for renewal term authorized hereby shall be in total amount not to exceed $108,500.00. All contract work will be charged to and paid from the fund department organization and account number listed herein and for other purposes.
Move approval. seconded by the Honorable Byron Amos. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The item is approved as substituted. That brings us to item number 4, 25-01045, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone to amend Chapter 114, Personnel, Article 4, Classification Plan of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, so as to provide for certain positions, abolishments, creations, reclassifications, class creations, above entry authorizations, employee position their transfers, position funding allocation changes, and other personnel actions in line with the 2025 budget for the Atlanta Citizens Review Board and for other purposes.
Colleagues, this piece of legislation is in response to the AJC's article regarding the Citizens Review Board. We have been asked to fund 6 positions. However, we have compromised with a total of 4. So we are asking for your support. I would like to move this personnel item favorable on condition that DHR provide the position numbers, classification code, and account information before the full council meeting. And we do have a copy of this article for all of our colleagues. Please read this very important article. Move approval. Seconded by the Honorable Ishe Collins. Please open the vote. Seconded by the Honorable Mary Norwood. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. The item is favorable on condition. 5 yeas, 0 nays. Madam Chair, we do have to take a vote to send this item to Finance Exec Committee as well.
Moved by the Honorable Byron D. Amos that we send this to Finance Exec, seconded by the Honorable Ishe Collins. Please open the vote.
One moment. Vote is open. Vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The item will be sent to Finance Exec Committee. Madam Chair, that brings us to our resolutions, starting with item number 5, 25R3079, a resolution by Council Members Marcy Collier Overstreet and Andrea L. Boone requesting the Atlanta Police Department provide an update on the study performed by the Georgia Institute of Technology concerning the feasibility of adding 1 or more zones to the city's public safety coverage and for other purposes.
Move approval. Seconded by the Honorable Ishe Collins. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable. That brings us-
Colleagues, our next item, we do have hard copies of this regarding the Citizens Review Board. Please pay attention to the pass-out handout. Please proceed, Mr. Overton.
Yes, ma'am. Item number 6, 25R3088, a resolution by Councilmember Andrea L. Boone requesting that the Executive Director of the Atlanta Citizens Review Board prepare a written report to be transmitted to the Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee by no later than the commencement of its meeting on February 24th, 2025, which shall include information concerning the activities of the ACRB, including but not limited to a response regarding the public allegations that the ACRB has failed to act in accordance with its duties assigned to it concerning the investigation of deadly uses or force in order to promote transparency, accountability, and justice, and to provide an ability for the Atlanta City Council to consider whether a strategic legislative overhaul shall be necessary to expedite the conclusion of critical ACRB investigations, directing the municipal clerk to prepare a report on the status of the appointments to the ACRB, including whether any of the seats are currently vacant or any of the membership are serving in expired terms, to be transmitted to the Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee by no later than the commencement of its meeting on February 24th, 2025, to support the Atlanta City Council's desire to ensure that the ACRB is fully constituted such that it shall be able to perform in accordance with the duties and responsibilities bestowed thereon and for other purposes.
Move approval. Seconded by the Honorable Antonio Lewis. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable.
Also, Mr. Overton, we would also like for Mr. Reed to appear in person at the February 24th, 2025 Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee meeting, in addition to the written report.
So noted. Madam Chair, if there are no objections, can we take items 8, 9, 10, and 11 as a block?
Please proceed.
Item number 8, 25R3110, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against the City of Atlanta in the case of State Farm Mutual Automobile Insurance Company, ASO Wesley Jackson versus City of Atlanta, civil action file number 23EV008053, pending in the State Court of Fulton County, Georgia, in the amount of $3,389.13. The settlement amount, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from 1001 General Fund, Center number 200101, non-departmental, account 5212005, litigation expenses, and functional activity number 1512000. Accounting, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to distribute a settlement amount and for other purposes. Item number 9, 25R3111, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against the City of Atlanta in the matter of Marcellus Ball versus the City of Atlanta, EEOC charge number 11B-2023-00450, pending before the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, Atlanta District Office, and any other related claims in the amount of $67,500.00. The settlement amount, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from 1001 General Fund, Center number 200101, non-departmental, account 5212005, litigation expenses, and functional activity number 1512000, accounting, and for other purposes. Item number 10, 25R3112, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against defendants in the case of Cherie Wright v. Steve Dadea in the City of Atlanta, civil action file number 23EV006405 in the State Court of Fulton County, Georgia, in the amount of $475,000.00. The settlement amount, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from 1001 General Fund, Center number 200101, non-departmental account, 5212005, litigation expenses, and functional activity number 1512000, accounting, authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to distribute the settlement amount and for other purposes. And finally, item number 11, 25R3113, a resolution by Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee authorizing the settlement of all claims against the City of Atlanta in the matter of Amber Ellison v. City of Atlanta et al., civil action number 1:23-CV-04067 TWT, pending before the United States District Court for the Northern District of Georgia, Atlanta Division, in the amount of $385,000.00. The settlement amount, authorizing the settlement amount to be charged to and paid from 1001 General Fund, Center number 200101, non-departmental, account 5212005, litigation expenses, and functional activity number 1512000, accounting, and for other purposes.
Move approval. Seconded by the Honorable Ishay Collins. Please open the vote.
Vote is open. Vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The items are favorable. Madam Chair, we do not have any items coming off of held. This concludes our legislative business for today.
Do we have any questions, concerns for the body? If not, this meeting is adjourned. Okay, y'all, let's get on the road now. Hey.